Panicles whisper in the early light. A clay jar answers with a soft tap. A vendor calls a name for a seed packet, and someone across the market laughs. Imagine all of that gathered in one long breath. What does a single seed remember about who planted it? Nang Bradley, and this episode listens close to seeds, household jars, temple offerings, market packets, and the small migrations that carry taste and resilience across generations.
Listen closely. The soundscape already tells a story. A seed's journey is more than biology. From a cultural standpoint, the way we name, store, and offer seed reveals relationships, obligations, and care. That's where the deeper story is.
Before we begin, a short but firm ethics note. Seeds are living materials and sometimes legally protected. Please don't remove living seeds across borders without the proper permits. If you're listening and feel curious, consider low-risk ways to learn. Take respectful photographs of packets, record metadata, name, who shared it, the story, ask permission first, and route any offers to share seed to community seed banks or vetted NGOs. We'll return to specific phrases you can use when asking about seeds so you don't slip from curiosity into harm. Household seed saving. In a Khmer kitchen, a jar sits where it's cool and away from pests. Sometimes the jar belonged to an ancestor. Sometimes it's a new plastic tin with a handwritten label. A woman I met in Kampong Tom cupped a single panicle, the oldest head, and said, "This one remembers the flood year." She selected it for planting because it had matured at the right time in that season and because the grain tasted of the fields she grew up in. That selection is deliberate. Elders teach timing by sight and touch, saying, when the seeds rattle in the husk, when the grains feel heavy between thumb and forefinger.
The naming is everything. People name varieties for grandmothers, for local ponds, for tastes. Sticky, fragrant, sweet, sour. What this reveals about identity is profound. A name encodes place, season, and family memory, and it helps a community keep track of what to plant when the rains shift.
In households I visited, storage practices were taught as rituals. Rice stored with a sprig of dried leaf for scent, jars sealed tight during the hot months, dates written on the lid to remember harvest year. There's a humility to it. People aren't trying to preserve perfection. They are preserving relationship. This seed belonged to an aunt. This one came from the next village. And each time a family gives a pinch to a neighbor, it's both practical and kin-making.
From a cultural perspective, when families pass seeds, they pass advice. Plant after the first moon, someone will say. Sow in the fields where the water rests, another advises. These are embodied pieces of knowledge, farmers' heuristics, created over generations. The research tells us that these small rules often map perfectly to local microclimates.
Segment 2. Temple Packets and Protective Rites. On a cool morning in Siem Reap, a monk took a small bowl of unmilled rice and, with deliberate calm, blew a blessing over it before it went to the fields. In many places, rice is offered at shrines as a request for protection and a return of fertility. The ritual language isn't just spiritual, it is social protection for a lineage variety. "This is our seed," an older woman told me. "We bless it so it remembers home."
That's the heart of the matter. Ritual acts encode stewardship. When seeds are consecrated, they are also being recorded in community memory. The tradition teaches us that ceremonial language protects varieties from being forgotten or misused. It gives them a story that people will tell again.
Segment 3. Traders, Markets, and Exchange Networks. At market, itinerant sellers move varieties from province to province. I watched one trader unpack bundles labeled in Khmer script, some marked by texture, others by aroma, and customers came with specific requests: a sticky rice for a wedding, a drought-tolerant strain for a hillside field. Barter is common. a handful of seed for a chicken or a jar of pickled fish. These are not anonymous transactions. They are exchanges wrapped in reputation. A vendor who consistently brings a good variety will gather customers from neighboring districts.
And traders are knowledge carriers too. They often know which variety fares well on sandy loam versus clay, and they can say which strain suits a family who prefers the scent of jasmine after cooking. The pattern shows us how flavor and function circulate together. Taste becomes a signal for adaptability.
Segment 4. Diaspora and the Traveling Seed. I sat with a woman in Phnom Penh, packing a small cloth pouch. When my son left for Australia, she said, I put a bit of rice in his bag. Not many, but enough so he would taste home. Seeds travel in pockets and suitcases, slipped between clothes or hidden in a tin. These are intimate migrations. But, and this is important, moving living seed across borders can be legally restricted and ecologically risky. Families do it out of love. We must respond with guidance, not judgment. If you are in diaspora and want to keep culinary memory alive, consider legal channels, certified seed banks, exchanging recipes and dried, non-viable samples, or working with community gardens in your host country.
I remember a neighbor in the diaspora who kept a tiny jar on the windowsill, every grain named in the mind. The jar wasn't about planting, it was about remembering. There are many ways to carry taste. Cook with stored grain, teach a child the smells, press a few grains into a keepsake song. That's how memory travels without risking ecosystems.
Segment 5. Biodiversity, Taste, and Resilience. Why does diversity matter? Multiple varieties mean multiple strategies. Some mature earlier to escape late-season floods. Others hold grain through drought. Some are prized for fragrance. Some for sticky texture needed in certain ceremonies. Smallholder strategies, planting a mix across microplots, keeping a few panicles in reserve, are risk management lived out loud. When a pest or weather event strikes, it's the variety mix that often keeps a community fed.
From a cultural standpoint, variety is also culinary memory. A single dish can taste different if you switch grain. That difference is meaningful. It signals place, it signals who cooked it, it signals ceremonial intent. The deeper story is that seeds hold adaptation and identity together. Losing variety is losing conversations between people and land.
Segment 6. Field Etiquette and Practical Phrases. If you find yourself at a village or market and you want to ask about a seed, consent is the first word. In English, you might say, "May I ask about this seed? I would love to learn about who kept it and why." In Khmer, a polite phrasing you can use is, "Knyom ach sur ompi kruopni bante?" Pronounced roughly, "Knyom ach sur ompi kruopni bante?" Always wait for permission before photographing or recording. If someone says no, accept it graciously. If they say yes, ask how they'd prefer their information shared and whether they want names or locations anonymized.
Here are short consent lines you can use. Can I take a photo of the packet? Knyom at thot rup kinshap ni bante? And if you're offered a seed story but not seed, reply, "Thank you. May I record the story and the name of the variety for reference?" That shows respect for knowledge without moving living material. Always offer to route any requests through community seed banks or the show curators so we can help protect people from collectors.
Practical photography tips. Photograph the packet and label. Photograph hands holding a panicle. Note the village name, the season, and the person who shared it, but do not share precise GPS locations publicly. For mailing or exchange, check legal requirements. Many countries require permits for live seed. If in doubt, reach out to local seed banks or NGOs listed in the episode notes. They can advise on legal, ethical ways to support stewards without exposing them.
And a reminder, when someone shares a seed story, they're sharing part of their life. Give credit, offer thanks, and consider ways to support them. a small donation to a vetted cooperative, a public acknowledgement arranged with their consent, or collaborating with local seed projects that center community control. This matters because support without consent can feel like extraction.
Conclusion. Seeds stitch ecology, culture, and family. Today we heard household jars that hold lineage, monks whose blessings encode protection, traders ferrying taste across provinces, and diaspora hands carrying tiny memories abroad. The work of listening is also a responsibility. Respect consent, follow biosecurity rules, and prioritize community-led channels when you want to help. The smallest grain can carry the largest story. Listen to it carefully and act with care.
If one line stays, "This is our seed," remember that it's not just a phrase. It marks belonging and the duty to protect. The cultural significance is deep. Let us keep these stories alive by centering local knowledge and safe, ethical practices.
Let's unlock the echoes of history together. Thank you for listening to Ancient Echoes. In the show notes, you'll find links to community seed banks, ethical photography guidelines, and vetted organizations who work with seed stewards. Next episode, we'll travel to a mountain village to hear about weaving and seed planting rituals that overlap. Until then, plant with care, in story and in field.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair, my sight is way. Warm, sacred power, sway, mighty spirit awakened. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. Right here, these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred power, sway.